Hello and namaste, my name is Nidhi Nagori and welcome back to my channel. I feel like it's been so long since I've actually sat down and filmed a full video. That's because I was pregnant. I'm sure you've seen that I've not been as active. So all the content that you saw, at least the long form content, was pre-shot. I shot literally until 2 or 3 days before I delivered. And now my daughter is over a month old. So I'm genuinely really happy to just be back and be filming all these long form content because I'm a talking person. I love talking. And I feel more connected to you guys, and I feel like I'm doing a better job if I'm just here talking, doing these longer videos. So lovely to see you again. I know it probably doesn't feel that long for you, but for me it really feels like, oh my god, like a whole decade has elapsed. In today's video, I'm covering a city and a country that has been the king of romance for decades, and that country is France. And the city that I'm talking about is Paris because it's the new tech and innovation hub of France. And I'm going to be introducing a work permit that France secretly launched. Now I know anytime it comes to France, a lot of people are like, oh, wahan to French lagega, without French, you really cannot do anything. There are no English opportunities. I'm going to be debunking a lot of myths in this video. So without making this intro any further, let's dive straight into the video. Alright, just to give you guys a little bit of backstory, I used to work extensively in France, especially Paris and Cergy. In my previous job, I've been to Paris about 3 times, did a lot of acquisitions, integration, amalgamations, mergers, etc. Seeing, recruiting people, including top management and middle management, figuring out where is it that we can draw efficiencies from. And back then we wanted to hire a variety of non-EU nationals, but back then there was only one visa that I remember that we were trying to sponsor, which was passport talent. Obviously, it's pronounced like this in English. I'm sure the French pronunciation is completely different. But that was the only work visa that I knew of that our global mobility team was allowing. I switched roles in June of 2021, so after pandemic. And in 2021, the French government launched another visa, which is a fast-track visa to get qualified foreigners into France and to pick up the heavy load. And this visa is called the La French Tech Visa. I'm dividing this entire video into 3 categories. In the first category, I'm going to explain what the visa itself is. In the second category, I'm going to talk about the benefits. And in the third category, I'm going to talk about how the government has dedicated resources to hiring English-speaking foreign nationals through this visa. So make sure you stick around till the end. All right, so let's start with what this visa is all about. Now, I know when you hear something like La French Tech, you're like, another IT visa, another tech visa. I know many countries like Singapore, Germany already have an IT-specific visa, but this is not an IT-specific visa. In fact, even when you head to the website of this visa itself, it tells you that this is just a fast-track simplified work permit. So that's going to be my number 1 suggestion. Don't go by the name. When you head to the website, you will see that this is defined as a simplified fast-track scheme for non-EU nationals. Now, you could be a startup employee, you could be a founder or an investor. You can apply for this visa. So as long as you're working for a startup, or as long as you're able to find an opportunity with a startup as an employee, or as long as you have an idea that is great for the French economy and it's funded by one of the facilitators, or as long as you're an investor in one of the French techs or the innovative startups that are coming up, you can apply for this visa. I know the website calls it a residence permit. So every time you're looking at Europe, keep in mind that residence permit is something that is common across almost all countries. So all countries need a residence permit. That's something that you need to live and work there. And then some countries like Netherlands also have an additional work permit on top of it. So for this La French Tech Visa, you do not need an additional work permit. You just have the residence permit, and that allows you to live and work in France. All right, now coming to part 2 of the video, which is what are the benefits of this visa? Well, first of all, no caps. So you know how US has H-1B and it has 65,000 to 85,000. There's a cap. Also, Italy has quotas and many other countries have quotas or caps in terms of how many visas can be issued. La French Tech has no such cap, which makes it a far less precious visa to issue. If there's no cap on number of visas that can be issued, then there is no limit to who can apply, so it does not increase the competition. For example, I'm sure you follow the H-1B news. Every year you have about 350,000 to 400,000 professionals applying for this particular visa, and you only have 85,000 getting the visa. So that makes H-1B very, very competitive. Here there are no caps, so there is less scope of competition. Second, it's family friendly, meaning you can get your spouse and dependent kids, which are minor kids, on this particular visa, and all the benefits that you get, including working rights, would immediately extend to them. Third benefit, the duration of this visa is 4 years and it is renewable. Now, the website does not state if it is renewable only for a definite period of time. I'm sure if that was the case, it would be listed on the website itself. So from my understanding, this is renewable for as long as you want it to be, making this a longer term visa. And the fourth and most important benefit, according to me, is that there is no education requirement. Now, most visas like this in different countries, which is targeted at highly skilled or highly educated foreigners, these generally have a requirement of education. Like you should have a bachelor's, you should have a master's, you should have PhD. I mean, the list goes on. Everybody wants just the best talent, right? But La French Tech is different in that sense. So in short, it doesn't really matter what your qualification is, how much experience do you have any of these or not? I mean, you could really just not have any degree, not have any experience, but as long as you meet the other criteria, which is as long as you're a startup employee, as long as you're an investor, or you want to start a startup in France, just as long as you meet the basic requirements of this visa, you will be stamped. And I personally love the flexibility that this visa offers, because I know for a fact that most countries don't. I mean, everybody's so hell-bent on, graduating from top 50 universities, 100 universities, 200 universities, as if it's a race or a competition. So I like the fact that France is just looking at talent and not looking at what your background is and where you come from and who have you worked for, etc. And for that, I really want to give kudos to the French government. Now let's talk about the third most important thing, which is the third part of the video. How do you get jobs for these startups? We already discussed that there are 3 ways that you can qualify for this visa, one of which is startup employees. Now, I'm assuming that you're not somebody who's an investor or a person who is an entrepreneur. If you're either of those, then obviously you're creative enough, you'll figure out a way. But if you're just somebody who wants a job and wants to move to France, then they actually have a portal. So what I like about this entire website, if you go onto their website, you'll see there's a detailed dashboard. It gives you a lot of info. It tells you what the startups are, what the funding scene is, what the startup scene itself is, who's getting funded recently. And towards the left, you'll also see a job board. So just go onto the left and scroll down until you find that job board and then click on it. And here's where all the English jobs are listed. It also gives you names of startups, so you can go to their career portals and see if there's anything else that you like. Keep in mind that the government already states on the website that these jobs are targeted towards English-speaking foreigners. So obviously, these startups are willing to hire foreigners who are going to be speaking fluent English. Now, I'm sure there's a question, so is French not required? Well, let me tell you this. It might not be required for the job per se or the job itself, but I think just to fit into the society, just to integrate well and have a good social life, because after all, work is only a part of your day. You have to go about, get yourself involved in the society, do activities, make friends, have a social circle, etc. And for all of that, French is always recommended. Obviously, you don't have to do it right now. If you don't know French, you can always move and learn. A lot of these startups actually offer French classes to employees that they hire outside of France. So you can look at something like that as well. All in all, I think this is an amazing visa if you're considering moving to France. It's a very undertapped, not widely known. And obviously the flexibility that it offers is amazing. The fact that there's a website where the government is hosting jobs is amazing. So all of this makes it an all-star for me. On that note, this video has come to an end. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you will consider the La French Tech visa if you're considering moving to France. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Obviously, if you have any thoughts, comments, suggestion, or if you want me to make a video around any topic, please make sure that you add that as well. In the past, I've received silly violations around using a particular website in the description box. So instead of doing all of that, I'll just add the website on the screen and I'll add a timestamp so that you know where exactly to look for the website info. Please make sure that you also give me suggestions around what would you like to see on my channel, what content do you want me to cover next, or if you have any other questions, thoughts, please share them in the comments. As always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Oh my God, the list goes on. There's just so much that I ask you to do, right? I don't think it's a lot. Well, I genuinely enjoyed filming this and I look forward to being back on a consistent basis. Until I see you in a long form video again, please make sure you take care of yourself. Stay safe. Namaste.